Good evening to everybody. So here we are to our design talk of today, Monday, 6:30 p.m. And today is the 26th of November. It's our last Monday in November. So we have a very nice topic, a really nice topic tonight. I'm sure a really nice topic tonight. I'm sure that everybody will be very interested in listening and discussing. Why not interacting with me? I hope. Hello, ciao Mauro. How are you? So our friends are coming, getting connected. Ciao, ciao to all of you. How are you? What a beautiful Grand Prix, the last one of the season. What a beautiful Grand Prix, the last one of the season. Really, really beautiful. I really appreciated a lot Verstappen, but I appreciated a lot, of course, Hamilton, that deserved to win the title and also the last Formula One Grand Prix. But the most beautiful thing has been the end, the final one, where we had Alonso in the middle with Vettel and Hamilton all together to say goodbye, which was really, really very touching, very beautiful. Yeah, that's true. I also thought that the rain would have been stronger, and no, it's not the case. Was not the case, and well, that's how it was. Ciao, Aditya Munde. Ciao, John. Welcome back, our friend John. Hey, John, I'm gonna say things that are gonna be very, very strong tonight. So just in case I say something that is not correct according to your personal experience, please give your contribution. We will see. Anyway, now we are 13 people connected. I would like to wait a few more minutes, and then we will start. Yes, the MotoGP with Dovizioso was great. I hope that Dovizioso next year will be a serious, really serious candidate to win the championship, because it looks like the guy is on the right track to do that. So ending, yes. Okay, so we are 19. Great. So we're gonna start. So first of all, let me tell you very honestly that I am not against engineers. So let's say it, because everybody, or maybe some colleagues, if they're watching, they're gonna say Luciano with his polemic against engineers. I'm not against engineers, okay? And of course, I believe that us and all designers in general think and act differently, okay, from engineers. As I said on the trailer, the video trailer to announce today's big subject, which is engineering versus designing, or engineers versus designers, mainly car designers, to be honest. I wanted to talk a little bit about this thing that in 30 years of experience is still existing. There is a sort of a dualism, okay, between those two cultures, those two worlds, that seems to be so different, so away sometimes, so far apart. And in reality, they both work very hard, and I would say also very professionally, to get the same objective, which is to make a very good product. In our case, excellent cars, okay, that are not only pretty, but cars that work really well. And if cars work really well, functions really well, the big merit is of engineers, not really designers. We help to find the right solutions to make it easier and also prettier most of the time the solutions that are taken. But the most important thing to understand is that every time there is a meeting, okay, a technical meeting where design and engineers are together, designers and engineers are together, this meeting, often, I don't want to say always, but often, engineers have an attitude toward us designers like we are artists, okay? So, the artist is always the romantic image of an artist is always like cigars, well, not really cigars, other type of tobacco, which is not tobacco, okay? With the head between clouds, thinking always of blue sky, peace and love be with you, great creativity, artistic creativity, lots of colors, flash and lights. And when we talk about engineers, they think that they are the rational ones, the ones that really know what to do, that really have the right solutions. And nobody can talk about engineering if they don't have an engineering degree. And most of all, if you are a designer and you're talking to an engineer about a technical problem, well, you have just to listen to them because that's the best way to make sure that you can learn something. Okay, basically, I'm making a little bit of, how can I say, a little bit of a comic vision of this storytelling, which is basically what happened to me in 30 years of experience. It was still happening to me today. I will not tell you how Friday was my technical meeting about front seat of an interior that has to do lots of stuff, and therefore is a car seat that is not just a simple seat, but is something that is very complex with a lots of motors, movements, electronics, buttons, ergonomics, and stuff. So we're making something really beautiful. I'm managing this project, the whole interior. So on Friday there was this meeting. It was specific on the seat, and of course over there you have problems to solve. And when you talk, they say, yeah, okay, but let me explain to you. And already when they say, let me explain to you, because you might not know, okay, this is already something that I heard 30 years ago. And during those 30 years, in some meetings, especially with engineers who do not know me, it happens once again and again and again. And it's not just me, because when I talk to my colleagues that are design managers or expert designers that make those technical meetings, participate to those technical meetings, what happens? They say the same things after the meeting. It's incredible. It looks like there is not a possible conversation without getting mad or sometimes really pissed off. So the first thing is, now, hello to everybody that's just coming, okay? They're just connecting. So the first thing I would like to say is to make a, how can I say, to tell a very intellectual, honest storytelling, so that I don't give you fake news or too romantic storytelling, because it's not the purpose of tonight. It's just really a conversation. I know that some of you are doing engineering, or maybe you are engineers that are willing to become designers or do something into design. So you are in between, you are a sort of a hybrids figure, professional figure, but we will talk about that too. So what I want to say very honestly, using, how can I say, just my experience and laughing a little bit about it, is that the most important, the first thing we should do in terms of designers, we have to analyze how an engineer, which are excellent engineers, okay, no matter what age, okay, you can have really excellent engineers 22 years old, very brilliant, to 60 years old because of the experience, because they were brilliant already when they were very young. But how do they learn? How is their brain? What type of what about the right and left part of their brain? You know, how those two parts are developed? Because we must accept, and I recognize that you can be an engineer if you have a creativity. Unless you cannot be an engineer, you couldn't be. So engineers do have creativity. So as we know, the right brain, the left brain, the more rational part, the more artistic one, it's developed in our head in percentage, different type of percentage, according if you are more artistic or more rational, okay? Same thing in love, in relationships. Someone is very romantic, always with the flowers, and sometimes we have females that can't stand this anymore because they are more rational. Or vice versa. Girls that always asking, do you love me? I love you. Why don't you tell me that you love me? And the other guy is saying, I know, I love you. Don't worry. It's for me, it's something that is, yeah. But that is showing the different part, the different percentage, okay, of rational versus romanticism or artistic part of the brain. So engineers go to engineering school or technical schools, and they are in a way just like us formatted. Okay, it's like when you make a reset of their brain, and they already have a predisposition to think like that, but they get teaching methods that tell A, B, C, and after C it's D, and you cannot imagine there is F. There is D. And they learn in a very rational way that after B and after C, they have a D, they have an E, they have an F, and so on. At the same time, they make a lots of heavy studies, because that we have to recognize is not a simple field. It's a very complicated field. It's like a medicine, for example. You know, when someone wants to become doctor in Italy, you study 5 years plus 2 years of specialization, like a sort of a master. And in engineering, it's the same thing. It's 5 plus 2. So it's a lot of studies. In design, we do 4. Some people make a master 5, but it's not really necessary. It's 4. So we have almost 7 years versus 4. That's the base. And during those 7 years or 5 years, they study in a very specific way with the given problem solving. Let's talk, for example, about mechanical engineering, okay? Where we know that there are all sort of rules of physics, structures, theory of a structure, the way you can make mechanism, the way you can make heavy weights to move up and down and stuff like that, the way you can make a structure. In the case of car design, of course, we talk about structure, mechanic, okay, dynamic elements, materials, stress on materials. So they have to go and study all that stuff, thermodynamic, thank you very much, fluidodynamic, aerodynamic, okay, and other stuff. So when we see how they study and what type of problem solving they have, we understand that they are forced during those years to be, designed to think in that way. So when they will have a structure to make, they know very well the theory, they put that theory in practice, it works, they make their model, they make a stress test on that model, the theory works because the model doesn't break, and they say that's the solution. I'm trying to, I don't want I want to be very respectful of engineers. So I'm making this example, and I hope I'm not blessing anybody. I'm just trying to explain how, in a very simple words, at least for me, so that it's easy to understand, how is the process of learning in a very complicated field that is taught by very important teachers with a very heavy duty studies that last for a long time. So when you get out of that and you get into a company and you are faced up with real problems, how creative can you be? Well, I mean, what is the how can I say, the risk? What type of risk are you willing to take when you are very young inside an engineering studio with the head of engineers, the head of the head, where everybody thinks the same way, that the most important thing is to give in the best time possible the most secure mechanical engineering answer that is cost efficient, that goes on technology that is, how can I say, that is using a technology that we know how to manage, and this automatically gives the opportunity to control the cost of that product, of that problem. So when we understand all that, of course, an engineer will make his project, and then once his project is finished, he will say, well, now designers, the artist, come in, they will sketch a nice dress on top of what we did. And because they are very good, very good artists, they will do something that will look good. We put them together, and if something is not, how can I say, it's not compatible with what we are doing, well, we will change it. And that's how they think. Now, 20, 30 years ago in Europe, especially, I talked to you about Italy, my experience when I started to be a design manager, this was very strong way of thinking in engineering departments in Fiat. We will call the styling department, that you know how I feel about styling, the word styling, you know? They're gonna come in, they're gonna put a very nice pool, you know, with nice color, that's gonna be kind of elegant. So it's a luxe car, a luxurious car. The car is perfect, you know, the material is nice, and that's it. And it's not like that. Because design, as we often say and we often prove, is probably the most important element to sell that product. And today, or nowadays, engineers and big bosses of engineers in big companies like automobile companies, but not only automobile companies. We can imagine also product design, for example, in electronics. They understood that because the markets are very compulsive. They want always the new thing, and the new thing must look always better. Because when it looks better, has better materials, even if it's a little bit expensive, today you have 1,000 ways to pay it, and people want the thing that looks better. Sometimes we have objects that look better, function better, but they are poor material, so they will break. But this is another question. But the thing is that the beauty and the functionalism, okay, the function, human factors, must be improved to make sure that the people that use those devices or that drive the future cars feel better, like in a better environment, in a better car, improving their life standard quality. This is more important, the most important part, to sell that product. Now, if we would make cars like boxes made of how can I say, of metal, okay, very simple, okay, squarish, with a minimum of technology, still today those cars would work. But the question is, can we sell cars like that for the rest of the life? I don't think so. because social um the social, okay, so all the people, all the cultures change, and trends change, and today compared to yesterday change very faster, much faster. So automatically we designers, design departments, must have the capacity to offer something better in a faster time, in a shorter time, to make sure that the market will have the right answer. And when we combine our work with the engineering work and the two fit together correctly, then we have a successful product, okay? With the right price, the right timing, the good design, good appeal design, okay? And the right mechanic underneath so that people think that they really spent well their money. So when I say this, we understand that the two worlds, they in reality, they are, we can put them one on top of each other. Now, I explained to you a little bit how an engineer, a normal engineer, is formed in school, is trained in school. And what about designers? We go to designers, okay? I'm reading this comment. Wait, not all designers may work, but the designers and the engineers are working together to revolution. Yeah, that's true, and I will come to that. Shinto, you said it right. I will come to that. So now, what about designers? Now, designers, it's true that we have our artistic part of the brain that's extremely well, you know, developed with a very strong percentage compared to the rational one. But if we want to be designers and not stylists, okay, the rational part of our brain must be more than 25-30%. For example, I made a test myself, serious test. I am 50-50. That's incredible. And I recognize myself into that. Because when I do all technical, when I do meetings, I'm always very worried about the technical aspects before my aspects tied to design. Because I know that I can make a good design or help to provoke a good design if I really know and understand the hard points. And that makes me a good design manager, let's say. Okay, but I talk about me, but in general I would say I talk about any good designer that wants to make its job in a responsible way, not those that say I don't care, they will do something. No, we work together and we find the solution together so that there is less sacrifice as possible on both parties, but it's a win-win situation. And so, as I was saying, we are trained, okay, to use our romantic and artistic brain more than our rational one. But at the same time, for example, myself, in school, I studied theory of structures, okay? I had to have a little bit of notions of engineering. Now, it's not everything, it's just a little small part. But that was interesting. I'm still sometimes remembering some of those rules that I learned in school, because in some argumentations that I have with my colleagues, they come out, they help me to motivate my vision or the team vision or the designer's proposal. And so it's very important that as designers, we are very, very, how can I say, very like rebels, okay, to make a revolution, but we understand and accept the frustration on the difficulties that some engineers are honestly encountering and trying to help them in conceiving a product. So when we go to school and when we become designers, we must have as objective the fact that we want to make the revolution, that we want to find or want to make an extra step. It's the extra step what it counts, okay? When some engineer tells me we always did that way and that's how we're gonna make it, that's wrong. Because if I say you're right, then where is the revolution on my side? I will be forced to make a lots of changes to my project so that it will fit only to what he has decided in or she has decided on its own with his team or her team. And that's not what we want. Because design means also, we have to be very honest, to fight to get the right design. And when I mean to fight, it means to have the technical knowledge, to talk to who is very technical and studied for that, and trying to find a common field on which apply some sort of modifications that will make sure that what it's done at the end, what is conceived at the end, it's the right product with the right quality, the right design, and the right cost in the right timing. I read a little bit of your comments to see if I can. Okay, like the ones who create buildings, like yeah, exactly. Yes, the change of the path as soon as possible. Great. So now, when I say that, this is an encouragement I make to all people that want to become designers, or that are young designers, or that are designers. Never put your heads down. Remember, even if you have a very important difficulty and it looks like you cannot manage that difficulty, there must be out there a different alternative solution that, of course, has to put together two different worlds that at the same time they want the same thing, which is the successful project. Okay, so what is the attitude? I will explain to you a little bit how I do. Okay, and I know that sometimes I'm not very. Engineers don't feel that I am a nice guy, especially at the beginning, and especially those that don't know me. So, and I can imagine that this is happening also to my colleagues. I give you an example, very, very simple example. We start a new project, there is a kickoff meeting, we show on a big screen our alias model with our door panels, dashboards, exterior design. Maybe we have a front overhang that is a little bit shorter, and we know that there is crash test and all that rules. It tells us always that we should have an incredible auto bus, a bus car front end, and then we don't do it. But at the beginning of every project, it's like that. Okay, they want an extremely front overhang and rear overhang so that everybody's safe and nobody has to work extra. And then what do we do with our design proposals? Basically, we put everything in discussion. All the most important points are put in discussion. So the meeting, when they see on the screen what we are presenting, which has been done, of course, already with the minimum base of architecture. It's not that we just do like that. You know, we work 6, 7 months, 8 months to conceive a full alias that takes into account many hard points. But when we start the real project, the one that will go to production, for example, because for running prototypes is a little bit different, there is a little bit more freedom, okay? Because it's just a prototype. But when it's a real car, of course, it's more complicated. Budgets are different, are huge. And there are a lot more people at that table discussing. And most of them, they're all engineers. So, what happens? People start saying, we don't agree on that. We want you to change this. We will never do that. We will never do this. This is not compatible with the rule of pedestrian heat at 50 kilometers an hour on a straight road with an angle, all that stuff. Then what do we do? I see people saying, okay, we will change. And then what type of cars did we have at the end? Cars that had no life, no soul. Because design in that case was a little bit too remissive saying, well, you know, big problems. In my opinion, the person or was a problem of personality, or because he really didn't understand really well what was going on, and then he didn't really push to the clash that then comes out with new solutions, and then of course you start to right away, you know, find the solution that basically put you in a situation where you are how can I say managed by them. So when I go to those meetings, the first thing I said, we will not move a single millimeters. This is our design. And then I start talking about the technical aspects and explain why we did it that way. And now I'm defeating them, okay? Fine, tell me why I did it this way and you think still it is not correct. So what happens basically? That a front overhang that should have been 100 millimeters extra longer, then we did only 20. Because in reality, you don't need the whole front end to move up in the front, but you can sizzle the side and then change a little bit the shape. The front light, you can put the how can I say the body of the front light, you can put them a little bit inside to protect them more. You go and check inside the front the transversal beam how it's made. Today there is an extra element, so there is a double body of for security for transversal beam structure. Sorry, I'm translating from French. And at the same time, you go and you ask why they did that way, which was the reason. You go and check every millimeter they use, and then you realize you can compact them because they did not think about it. The question that you can ask, but why didn't they think about that before they submitted the solution to you? Because of the same reason I explained to you how they are trained in school. They have one solution. It works perfect. There's no need to go and find another solution. You find another solution only if the system forces you to find another solution. Well, I want to be in the system the one that forces you to find another solution. That's the objective. And of course, when you start like that, you don't have many friends. You don't make many friends. But the reality is another, in my opinion, is that when they realize that when you talk about technical stuff, being a designer, you are not just giving cooling to your teeth, but you are saying things that are real, okay? So that looks like you studied a little bit anyway, a little, you know. Then little by little, during the project, they start seeing you differently. And they know that if they explain something very technical to you, you will understand. And that creates the base to work together. And then, because you understand a little bit of that technical aspects, and because you are, of course, you are a little bit naive, it's normal, because we are not engineers, then you look at the technical drawings, and you find the solution, and you ask, am I saying a stupid thing if we could do like that? And that's the first step to take that solution and move it to something else. So, now, working together, as Shinto is saying correctly, apply for bachelor to you need to have a professional portfolio. To apply for bachelor, no, Sagar, for bachelor you need an entry portfolio. There is a video about that. You can see my video talking about entry portfolio. Okay, so now let's come back. Let's come back to what I'm talking tonight. Our topic. The thing is that no, designers, we don't know everything. We know the same things, but in a confusionary way. You know, that's the difference between an engineer and a designer. An engineer will follow, as I said before, a very logic sequence of steps. And this is correct. I mean, it's not wrong. Designers, they improvise. They know there is a problem. How we could do this? Ah, no, we could do that. Oh, wait, I have a better idea. Why do we have the brainstorming? Why do we learn how to make brainstorming on our projects at the beginning of a project? Okay? And engineers do it differently. Because for us, brainstorming means to take, 1,000 ideas, of which 7 are just bullshit, because they cannot be applied to our project, but they helped to take our brain and to warm it up, okay, in terms of creativity. And then we get very easily to 100, 200 ideas, and then we know, according to certain type of parameters, that somehow those ideas, even if they are good, they are not applicable to that particular project, and we narrow down to 5, 6 ideas, and they are different. So our process, our thinking process, to find something different that could improve that product and make people's life better, follows a step by step that is a little bit more chaotic, okay, which we could say, we could use the term, it's a little bit more creative, okay, not following a very logic sense, okay, but at the end provokes something that nobody thought could happen. Most of the time it's like that. And it's that different type of attitude that makes the big difference between engineering world and designers world. When you have a meeting with engineers in electronics, okay, you realize that you imagine already the video display that does certain things. They don't. Before they create that for you, because it's coding, it's electronics, it's I don't know what type of transistor they have to buy to make that thing work. You have to ask. You have to make a video to show in virtual reality. And they see that and they understand how to give you the answer, the technical answer, to make that video animation happen as a magic thing inside that display. That's the difference. I read some comments. Can mix all that ingredients. Engineers just took the recipe. Yeah, in a way, yeah. They teaches us designing is very technical engineering aspect, so it's appropriate approach to design. Swapnil, you are talking about in Indian colleges they teach us very technical. I said last time that for me, when you are in a technical college that does studies that are very similar to engineering or the engineering university, it's normal that you learn like that. In design, it's not. Because in design, at the beginning, they teach us to be very creative and to use the skills, to exercise creativity. Unless we just do blah, 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 and then we cannot show. No, our job, our responsibility is mostly, sorry for the words that come up, mainly to show by drawing, illustrating, explaining, okay. So, in the case it's engineering, it's like that. What I think is that, and I hope that in the future we can have, is that also engineers will have a little bit of that designer's culture in their training system, so that they will be more open to say, if I'm an engineer of an R&D, research and development center, I cannot apply the same methodology in making a production car, because the two things are completely different. No, the education system is not, it doesn't suck. It's just that I think that it's a question of time. In Italy also, I know that in some engineering universities, like a Polytechnic, where they also have industrial design, car design, there is still a more technical approach than a designer approach. But 15 years ago, it was only a technical approach. So there is a change. And of course, the design schools are offering a great opportunity to show to the others, hey guys, we are existing, look what we do, look what type of experiments we make, look how creative we are. And in design schools, more and more we have technical stuff that are taught. And that's correct. I also wanted technical stuff taught when I was chairman at Institute of Design in Torino, because I didn't want just artists. I want designers so that they understand that there is a real life. And real life, it's hard points. Someone said that the hard points are the best way to show that you are a good designer. And he was right. Because if you are able to make an excellent design, a good design, I don't want to say excellent, a good design, using and solving the problems given by the hard points in a project where everybody at the end agrees that all the solutions are correct, then you did a very good design. And you did it because you didn't go away from the hard points. You took your responsibility to overcome the hard points, to answer to that question in a creative way, help the system to find an alternative solution. And that's what it counts. And that's the role today in society, in working society, in industry, of people that are designers or that have a very good creative head. For example, there are some engineers that I met in my life, and I also have in remote, that in my opinion, they could have been designers because they have this very creative approach. So they don't close the door to a designer's observation right away. They are curious to hear, to listen to. And they are nurturing themselves with that to make proposal, to make that proposal their proposal and develop with their knowledge. That's great. That's also teamwork. I don't care if I did the idea, I gave the solution. I don't care. I want to defend my design. Then if you take my, let's say, technical alternative solution or partially, okay, and you make a real one that works for both of us, I can only be happy. Great teamwork. Because teamwork is important. It's not a single. Have to know how things are made. Engineers have to know how things are designed. Yeah, I agree. Martin said something really interesting. Exactly. The two worlds should mix better. And I really hope that the world of engineers, like usually they don't look at us like we are the students and they are the teachers because they have the knowledge of engineering. Because, come on, man, I know. Give me a piece of plastic, I'll tell you how much it's going to the cost of the tooling, how much time you need to make it, how much is the cost of the material, what type of material you can use, what type of technology you can use to make it, okay? I can tell you what type of planning you should make, all the actors to make it. I know a little bit of marketing, trends and stuff, benchmarking, so that I can, in a way, get an idea if the solution taken are correct from here to the next 5 years. I can manage the design to answer to the briefing that is given by the product planning people, and I can tell you if there is better solution to make sure that we can have a better quality of assembly the parts. And I can also, for example, sketch the right cuts and conjunction between parts. That's experience. I'm not an engineer. Because sometimes, most of the time, especially the beginning of a project, all the main sections of the structure of a car or of a dashboard or a door panel are just what we call the typical structure section. So they are boxy, they are big, they have a certain type of dimension, they are given safe dimension. Now, if I make a design that is double S on my door panel, how can I apply that section? I cannot. So we have to redo that section. And we have to redesign that section in a different way. Of course, I'm not gonna make a flat panel from a double S panel because you have your section, your square section of your structure beam that is crossing my door panels. I'm never gonna do that. So it's useless if you come with that and say we have our pre-concept ready. That's not for me. That's not a pre-concept. It's nothing. It's an exercise of structure. It's an example that we could bring to school. Voilà. Okay. Artists have the same fight. Yeah, I know. So students don't know about designer. I think that in India, to be honest, Ayush, I think that in India there is a little bit of confusion between an engineer and designer, especially in automobile design, because often I receive some emails, okay, with the portfolios or just a CV, just a curriculum vitae, where they say, this is my CV, can I be a designer? But you cannot approach to me without a portfolio. So when I ask a portfolio, they say, but I don't have it, I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer. I design cars. I say, no, you don't design cars. You make just a part of designing a car. You make the mechanical part. You are not a designer. And then they answer me, yeah, but my teacher said that I'm designing cars, so I can be a designer. No, because a designer, as we know, goes to design school. An engineer goes to engineering school. The promise of the one and the others are slightly different. And the approach, the methodological approach to solve the problem and to give a correct answer in both professional fields is different. Let me read. So, if an individual has relevant knowledge in engineering as well as in design, she can be a great asset to the industry. Yes. Yes, Subham. Yes. You're a good designer. You understand how things are put together, but that's excellent. From a design point of view, it's excellent because that's power. You know, we always say knowledge, it's power. You know, it's true. That's a philosophy, very transversal to anything. It's power. And why am I am always curious still today how things are done, the new technology that are coming, 3D printing. Everybody's saying 3D printing, we can do everything. Fake news, fake. But before I say fake news, I had the opportunity with my job to make a 6 months research on 3D printing, all different machines, all different materials, all different solutions, and all different problematics. Okay? So when I have a project, and people say the objective is to use the 3D printing so that design can express different ways and the client can do something at home, clicking on the website, and then the thing will be done automatically and comes to his house with Amazon 2 days later or Chromopost 2 days later, and he can fix on his car. Yeah, that's nice, but I don't think it's gonna be that easy. And the most important enemy on that about the 3D printing today, and this was said also 10 years ago when 3D printing started, okay, is the cost. Because something that few people say, that when you make a part made in 3D printing, it's raw. It needs to be treated. You need to finish it. So you need paint, you need sand, paint, sand, paint, repaint. So all the work that you need to finish that part is going to cost a lot of money. And if it's just for a niche market, so few parts realized, even 1,000 per year, that will be extremely expensive. So if we use it, okay, we can do it. But for Rolls-Royce, no, not for Fiat or for Renault or for small cars or a Chevrolet or a city car, I don't know, or a Toyota sold in India where the price is very extremely important, must be very competitive. So it's important to know. So when there are new technology, a designer should go and learn about those new technologies, because you not like we are in school, but we have to know, to get an idea, to get in our head an idea, understand the macro situation, so that we can manage that macro situation, give better information. Let me read. I am a transportation design student, Sidesh, from India, imagine. After having a bachelor in engineering, voila, so you are an engineer, which is the right place for such career path in the industry, where students having bachelor in design have much exposure. I didn't understand. Let me read again. I'm a transportation design student after engineering. Okay, so you are doing both things. Place for such career path in industry. Well, Sidesh, it's not complicated. You started as an engineer, okay, and now you are doing a transportation design. Imagine a master. It would be better if instead of doing a master, you did a bachelor. But anyway, I don't care. So, let's say that you are a good designer with a very good engineering background, because you are also engineer at the base, okay? Well, then you are very good. So when you will find a design center that will hire you, and when you will be at my place, and I hope very soon for you in those meetings, you can tell to an engineer, hey baby, stop, I am an engineer too. Okay, it's even better, but it's not necessary. What I'm saying is not that designers must be engineers first and then designers. No, designers must know a little bit of engineering to understand that to make good design, you must have a good knowledge, a percentage of knowledge of very technical stuff and technicality, like technologies, cost, timing, and more complicated stuff like tooling, according to the different technologies and stuff. And you don't learn this in one day. Yeah, of course. It took me several years. It's normal. Every project you learn a little bit more, but don't be shy. The day you will be there working, ask, why did you want this that way? Why do I have to accept it? And those people will explain. And after you can give eventually an alternative solution, or open a door for different type of solutions. He will fire the engineer. The parameters given by engineer to design for design. What are the parameters? Nitish. Okay, your question is which are the parameters that engineers give to designers to make a project? It works like that in a way. We have a briefing that is done by product planning, and designers, engineers, and everybody else study the briefing. The briefing is like a mini book where it's written everything about the project. So when they read, the engineers know the size, the efforts, the power, the cost, the timing, and that's enough to tell how many people, what type of luggage space and stuff. So they know basically the DNA, okay, of the car to make. And they start making their basic architecture. It's called product or car product architecture. Designers start making the brainstorming, the famous brainstorming. But the manager of the design team, okay, the design manager, starts talking to the engineers in some meetings in parallel, because he wants to see how they are starting to make that architecture. And the product planning people also are present to those meetings, because they are the real client. They wrote that mini book with all the ingredients to respect. So all three entities, mainly those are the most important entities at that stage of the project, they're always talking, discussing, and applying modifications, because that's the best way to get mature the project before we start making the first virtual model, and then mill out small models and stuff like that. Okay, because while they do that, the brainstorming ends, some choices are made, and then we start preparing some proposals. That's a typical design process, okay? Or project design, project process. So in parallel, things go, and then at a certain moment, the two things go together, and then we continue with only one or two, generally two proposals, but the same architecture and few differences, okay? According if it's a family car, a sports car, a family car, or I don't know, a sports hatchback and stuff like that. I don't know. I hope I answered to you. Process and metallurgic is all an engineering needs. Yeah, but I understand, Isha, that those are engineers needs, and I understand that, and I respect them. The only thing is that, in my opinion, you gotta share things. You gotta share knowledge. People must understand. Everybody must understand to make the best synthesis possible. Let's see, John. Creative tension between the designers and engineers is important. Both disciplines need each other. That's true. One can do the car successfully without the other. Great. The successful projects that I worked on had both great engineers and designers. Well said, John. It's exactly what I say. To do that, you must have the chance to find around the table, designers that don't think they are Leonardo, because unfortunately sometimes we have people that say they think they are Leonardo da Vinci, so nobody can touch them. But it doesn't work with me. And then on the other side, we don't need other people that think to be the Leonardo of the engineering. So in reality, you should be humble. Everybody should be a little bit humble and exchanging without the prof finger pointing at you. Hey, listen to me. I'm telling you what to do. That doesn't work. Doesn't work anymore. I request to all please like this video because sir do very hard work with us. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you very much. You should share this video, okay? Just share it. I will be very happy about that. Put your like. It's very very nice. Now, do you have any questions? It's almost an hour we are talking, so if you have a question, it's the moment. I will read and I'll try to give you answers. So one thing for sure, from my way of express myself, you understood I'm not against engineers. Sometimes I'm against a mental approach that comes out mainly at the beginning. It looks like people don't trust designers, don't trust engineers, and engineers mostly don't trust designers. But then I've seen, I had a beautiful experience where things went really merged together very well as a very good marriage, and others that are almost ready to make a separation in a house before divorcing and still brought the project to the end. But I think that there should be, and also designer, very young designer could have a brilliant idea, just as a very young engineer could have a brilliant idea, and then someone of my age could recognize that and just take it, put it on the table, and discuss it. So that's, I guess, the most important thing we should achieve. What was your most hilarious discussion between designer and engineer? Well, you know what? I was in Fiat, and I was. Let me see. Wait. I will answer to that. Don't worry. There are three questions. What are the propaganda of engineers? But designers also encourage them to sort out the best products. It's your job and you have to live with that. Still have flat spots on my head from getting beat up by engineers. In the end, we all moved forward. That's cool, John. Status quo is the enemy. Yeah, that's true. Can car design help design buildings or other products? Yeah, I guess so. I think designers that today have architecture firms, not here in Canada. Very good ex-design and design manager in Opel, but he was an architect that was a great designer. Then he got tired. He got married. He went to Canada and opened up his firm of architecture with his car design feeling, and the architecture and the interior decor that he makes is really very, very nice, very, very creative, very particular. And I love Zaha Hadid architecture. That's a very engineering, architecture, car design. It's all mixed together. Beautiful, beautiful stuff she did. Conceptual thinking, creative process is the main skill set up your student to work hard for it. Swapnil, you made a question that to which I answered many times in the other videos. Go and check the other videos when we talk about design management, how to become a designer, what to study in school, how to study in school. There are all the videos. I would like to answer to the which was the most hilarious discussion. I was a young designer, junior manager for my little Fiat car, which I designed almost. I designed the exterior, but the interior was a 50-50. I had a beautiful young team helping me. And then I had the director of the platform, the engineering platform, the man with the huge money budget that was controlling the whole project, and that was the person that would talk to the CEO of the company, so to the president. So you can imagine the difference. I was 30 years old. I was down here in this meeting. This guy was up here, and on top his boss was the most important person of Fiat at that time. That was the pyramid: engineering versus design. And I was going to those meetings because the small Fiat 600, we were doing stuff. And I remember one time we worked very, very hard the whole weekend until Sunday, which was forbidden, but we did it, to complete the model so that Monday morning we had the presentation to the big boss. And the big delegation of the big boss came to see, and I was presenting, of course, with the design director and the other. They were the most important person of the engineering. And then there was this director, engineering director, that was the head of the whole project, the president and everybody. And we were presenting the project. And while we finished the model, of course, being designers, we were at the beginning, we were showing some solutions that were a little bit more costly, but it was a way to stimulate the project to go further and not to do a heavy restyling, but to do a lot more than a simple reskin design. And when we did this presentation, there were 3-4 solutions that were true. They were not respectful of what we said, and that's okay. You can do that. You should do that. Always do something like that. That stimulates the discussion. So the big people said that, when I say the big people, is the top management, they said, oh, that's very nice, very interesting, we must do this. And of course, the director of that platform was very mad. He was smiling, but he was very mad. And he was very mad at me because I did something that was not authorized by him. But I don't need his authorization to do something in design. If my director authorized me to do, that's normal. So I represent the design team with the director and all the managers and everything. And he represents the same thing, but in engineering. So when Tuesday we had the first technical meeting after this presentation, he said, I want to tell you something with the finger. That's why I talk about the finger, because it comes from there. I want to tell you, Mr. Bove, you are a young artist with your artist. You did an incredible bad work on that model, and you shouldn't have done. You should have asked the permission, and we did a bad presentation. And then when he started going, because this guy was someone that really, he was a lot older than me. He was in his 50s, and I was, I think, 28 or 29 years old. And then I said, stop. I represent design. My director, it's not you, it's Mr. at that time, Mr. Peter Davis, okay? And if you have something to say about that, you can talk to my director. I can tell you only one thing. We worked very hard, Saturday and Sunday, the whole design team. You should thank us for the presentation, because if we didn't do that, the presentation, we could make it. And the 3, 4, 5 freedom we took, it's what we habitually do in every project, because we are creative people, and you should, in a certain extent, to learn how to follow us. So that was that was an answer that made him very pissed at me. I was very mad at him. So very hard time. Then I went back to the design center because I was in engineering department having this meeting, and then I talked to my boss and explained what happened. Of course, I was a little bit scared because I said, I'm young, he's gonna kick me out of the company, I will be jobless. And then he said, don't worry, I will talk to him. You did well. Okay, so you see, this is the hilarious souvenir that I have, a memory that I have and I have been always like that, still today. Friday was like that. So, of course, it's easier for me today because of experience, because of job role, because I don't have the same, in the hierarchy, I'm not at the same level as 30 years ago, but that's okay. The most important thing is that if you believe you're right, and if you know that your boss is behind you, go for it. Just do it. Charlie, ciao. I work in a variety of industries, from shipbuilding to car factory to smelting furnaces. Now I just like to draw cars and other things. Work hard at everything you do. You just never know. That's very well said, Charlie. Thank you very much. So, yeah, Michelangelo was a very good artist. Michelangelo was the two things together at that time. You would say that, from my point of view, he was a great designer, an inventor, the advanced design eminence, okay, of design. Then from the other point of view, he was like an incredible, innovative engineer. That's true also. So Leonardo da Vinci is really both figures together. And that's very nice. I like that. I went to see, here in France, there is a beautiful castle where he lived the last years of his life, where I went with my boys. We went to visit. And you see all the scale models and full scale models of his inventions. It's beautiful. So please suggest any good books for a beginning design field. Become best friends with engineers and never be under bad. For books, go to Amazon. You find a lot of books. They're a little bit expensive. If you're searching books to sketch, you can buy my ebook. They are very cheap if it's for sketching, okay? If it is, there is also a book where I explain those stories, but in reality it's my story. Wait, I'm going to write, I'm going to put a link, okay? And I think that you will see in this link that you will find my ebooks, and maybe you can find something that can be of your interest, okay? So give me the time to memorize the link, to put it here. There you go. You ready? Okay, the link is there. Now, if you click that link, there is an ebook I wrote, which is my story from when I started until 3 years ago. Car Designers, some tips for you. This ebook, $10. Okay. In there you find some of the things that I talk when we do the design talk. And the interesting thing is that I'll tell you also the romantic part of my story, and if how I became a designer. And then if you want to see, if you search something for sketching, you should take Car Design Sketching Tips Volume 2, because it's more complete, okay? It's $13, so it's really nothing. Okay, so, yeah, Peter Teufel by Chris Bangle is a great book, and Chris told me that one of the personage there in that book, he was thinking about me, so that's very interesting. Okay, I think that I said it all. I believe we had fun. I hope that nobody got blessed by what I had to say about engineers and about designers. I think that it's always interesting to exchange with you, those thoughts and to read your comments. And I hope to open your sensibility to be more open, okay, when you are in school, whether you are in engineering or you are in design school, to have an approach more open, a little bit more humble, and remember, everything you do can be put in discussion, every single thing. So, the revolution passes by, or the best solutions sometimes, passes by putting in discussion what we think it's 100% correct and right. But at the same time, and then I will finish, you must use your head and your good sense, okay, of judgment. If you don't use that, then you risk big mistakes. Thank you very much. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie, with your experience also. And thank you to Mauro Diaz because he made a very good list of excellent books. Okay, I know some of those people and beautiful stuff. And you find them, most of them are on Amazon. I know because I found them on Amazon. Okay, ciao guys. Next, I have a question. Just answer me yes or no. You saw that recently I had my heart attack, and after 3 years, I start painting again with my spatula, and my acrylics. The question is, would you like me sometimes to paint live in front of you instead of sketching cars? If you say yes, if the majority says yes, I think I will do it. So answer now. You have 2 minutes to say yes or no. It looks like yes are coming. That's great. Okay, I think that I will explain to you when I will do it before we start why I would like to make a painting section freestyle, freestyle. No subjects. We're gonna go with our full creativity, really very naive, okay? We will do something together and I explain to you the good therapeutical aspects of doing that, okay? Ciao, grazie, thank you very much, bye bye. See you next time. Share the video, lots of likes, and if you didn't subscribe yet, subscribe to this channel. You have a friend that is interested, tell him subscribe, unless Luciano will cry.